I know.
Thank you so much for coming today to the Winter Park Public Library. Coming out on a gray, kind of drizzly day. I am Sean Schaefer. I'm the executive director here at the library. I just moved here 9 months ago, and the running joke here is I am forever complaining that I tell them I moved to the Sunshine State and I don't understand why it rains so much here. But I did move here from Chicago, and I'll trade today for any day they had back in Chicago for the last 6 months. So I am very happy to be here and not there. We're very happy to be hosting this debate. This is, I guess, an ongoing tradition here at the library. And it's always good to do this at a public library because we are a true democratic institution in town. We always collect information on both sides of any argument so that everybody can make their own decision. And an informed public is the most beneficial thing to a democracy. So we're very happy to be playing host to this debate today for City Commissioner. I'm going to turn it over to Laura Turner. Laura has been our moderator for, do you know how many times we've done this?
Several.
Several times that we have done this. She has been our moderator and will be again today. Thank you again for coming.
And I'd also like to echo the welcome. I'm glad all of you are here. Just on a note before we begin, as many of you are aware, Winter Park has lost one of its valued community leaders with the passing of Reverend Mitchell Dawkins. Reverend Dawkins was the pastor of Warner Chapel AME Church, also chaplain for the Winter Park Police Department, and president of the Winter Park African American Pastoral Alliance. So if we could just take a moment of silence in his memory before we begin. Thank you. And in that spirit of community activism, we are all gathered here to learn more about our candidates for seat 2 of the City Commission. And I'm also delighted all of you are here. So we can learn more about why these two individuals want to serve the City of Winter Park. At this time, I would ask if you could silence your cell phones. And if you do need to take a call, if you could just step outside so that we can continue the dialogue here. And before we begin, there are just a couple of background items I'd like to share with you. Something to keep in mind, the city's vision is be the best place to live, work, play in Florida for today's residents and future generations. And as many of you know, the City Commission, including the mayor, is the legislative body for the City of Winter Park, making decisions that affect all of us who live, work, and visit. There are 4 city commissioners in addition to the mayor. All of them are elected at large. Each of them have a term of 3 years, and those terms are staggered. This year, we only have elections for 1 city commission seat, and that's seat 2. The incumbent, Commissioner C. Leary, who actually is here in our audience, chose to run for re-election but did not have a challenger, so he will automatically be re-elected. So you will not see his name on the ballot on Tuesday. But you will see these 2 ladies on the ballot on Tuesday, and as a reminder, that is Tuesday, March 11th. And it is my privilege to introduce to you the 2 candidates that are interested in serving on the City Commission for seat 2. Sarah Sprinkle, who is currently the City Commissioner, completing her first term, and Sandy Womble, who is her challenger. Well, before we begin with the questions and answers, because we have lots of questions all of you have shared with me, I'd like to review a few ground rules for today's forum. Joining me, while I'm serving as moderator, joining me is Ruth Edwards, who is also there to take any questions. If you have any questions you'd like to ask, if you could write them down, then that way we can make sure everything is covered. Anne, who's in the front here, will be our timekeeper, and she's going to make sure that the candidates stay on time so we can fit in all those questions that you have. You will have 2 minutes for opening remarks, and then for the various questions, there will be 90 seconds for each of you to respond, and then we'll close with 2 minutes with anything you'd like to share with the audience. And we'll continue until 1 o'clock, so we have just about 55 minutes of interaction. Each candidate will have the opportunity to answer the same question. And I do ask if you could refrain from clapping so that we can fit in all those questions. And as I mentioned, questions have been submitted to the library prior to today's forum, as well as those of you who've written them down. So we'll make sure that everything is covered. And if we run out of those, I have some backup questions as well. So we'll make sure that we get to know these two candidates rather well. So with that, I'd like to begin our forum. And if Ms. Sprinkle, if you'd like to begin with the 2-minute introduction.
Hi, thank you for coming out today, and thank you for coming to this crown jewel called the library. And you all know I'm Sarah Sprinkle. I am here today to ask for your support so I can continue to serve you. So let me tell you a little bit about why, when we came to the library, I thought of an idea. Back when I was working with the school system, we had this program called, and when I was working with the school system, that's what I did. We had this great program when kids would go to school, and it was called Drop Everything and Read. When they would go, they would take any book they wanted and they would read for 15 minutes. So I'm going to introduce myself around that concept today and tell you my D word starts with what's dear to me. Now, those of you who know me know I use the term dear often. I'll call you dear, or I'll say, hey, dearie, to my husband. And I will tell you that the dearest people to me are here, my husband, George Wade, because he's the person I married into Winter Park. You see, he's been here 56 years. I've been here 42 years. We have 3 children, and one of them's here, Clark U. Wave, also, because he gets to epitomize what you just heard was our vision for Winter Park. He lives, works, and plays right here. I don't want to know what he plays, but I know he lives and works here, okay? And then we also have 4 grandchildren, and I, my friends, am so fortunate that I have my 92-year-old mother who lives here. So you may see me sometimes around town with someone in a wheelchair, and that's my mom. Tom Childers and I share our parents over at the Gardens, and that's a really nice place to be. So that's my family. It's the most important thing to me. Other important things to me are certainly our wonderful homes, our great waters, our great lakes, all the things that we have right here in this community. The other thing I wanted to mention is that and I'm thinking about what's the dearest thing to me, it's you all. It's the people in this town. So what's dear to me is you. What's dear to me is the things that make Winter Park as special as it is. And for me, that's why I want to continue my service to you in this city.
Great, thank you. Ms. Wobble.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Sandy Womble. I'm not a politician, so I wrote out what I was going to say so I could say the best I could. I looked around the room. A lot of you already made up your minds. I know you're here for either me or Sarah, but some of you may be undecided, and I hope to persuade you to vote for me today. And not because of any personal reasons, but because of my stand on the issues. I think I'm an independent voter. My supporters will benefit from the positions I take. We benefit in our community, the stronger and better we are. The examination of my contributions will show you that I am independent. I'm proud to say my contributors are all private individuals that are unaffiliated with groups that come before the city and petition for development and other issues. I support returning to the urban forestry management plan and reinstating the city's responsibility to take care of the trees and leaves right away. I support upgrading our historic preservation plan ordinance. And I'd like a clause in there that would read that somehow would mandate that commissioners personally inspect the building before rescinding any historic preservation. And I'd also like to add that if this ever happens again, that neighbors within 1,000 feet be notified about the house. I support appointing qualified residents to our boards. We have an abundance of talented citizens that could serve on these boards. In closing, I'm all about community character and working to protect our quality of life, our trees, our historic properties, and the parks are my special interests, so are you.
Thank you very much. We do have a couple of questions here related to trees, so that's an important item to at least members of our audience here. The first question is if you could just expand on your thoughts about the tree canopy in the city, and do you believe the city should maintain them? And Ms. Sprinkle, why don't you go first?
Great question, because it is very confusing what's going on out there. Right now, whether you know it or not, you are responsible for the trees in the tree canopy in the city. It was passed back in 1952, before lots of you were even born, and that is still on the books. So I will tell you that it was time for us to take a closer look at that. And we did. We said, let's see what we can do, because we planted, get this folks, 835 trees in the last 3 years for the tree canopy in the right-of-way. So we know, I'm very aware that we have issues with the tree canopy. So we said, let's see what we can do to fix this problem. So right now, that's what we got. We got an urban study. First it came to us in October, came back to us in January. It's fabulous, but guess how much it cost? $6.8 million to do what we need to have done. That's a lot of money. And so we said, let's look at this when we do our budget, because we know we need to take care of the trees, and we fully intend to do that. We had a 4-1 vote to adopt the urban forestry plan. That urban forestry plan is fabulous. Now, there's a lot of things that are going to happen, but what we need to know is we need to do a lot of education about what we can do around the urban forestry plan. So I'm highly supportive of trees. That's why we have the urban forestry plan. We asked for it. And what I want to do is to make sure that we move to the place where the city is responsible, not you.
Thank you. Ms. Womble.
I agree. I think the urban forestry plan was excellent. It was put together by the Tree Preservation Board and staff, and I agree with everything in there, including that the city take care of the trees in the right-of-way. It was my understanding, I think Michelle DeVal told them that it would cost around $900,000 to take care of those trees, and I think it's very important that we put that back into the ordinance. If I was elected, I would definitely support that. I think we need to spend our money on the assets in our city, one of those being the tree. We are actually in crisis management about the trees because the laurel oaks are coming down rapidly. So we do need to be very careful about taking care of our trees. They're an important asset, and it's what brings people to our city. One of the things. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Another question that we have are, what are your thoughts about the city's parks and recreation programs? Are there any changes you'd like to see happen? Ms. Womble, why don't you go first?
I really can't think of anything that I think should be changed. I think people sometimes confuse. They get the Parks and Rec costs a lot of money, but it's a important amenity to our city, to us. And I'm very much pro-park. I have a long record of supporting and defending the park, Central Park, the dog park. It's a very important thing to me. And I think staff, the Parks and Rec staff is excellent. I like all of them and I support them.
Thank you. Ms. Sprinkle.
Let me clarify that the $1 million was for 1 year, not for the entire project. So that was $1 million for 1 year. 6.8 minimum for probably a 7-year span. Now, when it comes to parks, you guys know that we have 300 acres of parkland in the city of Winter Park. Isn't that wonderful? 300 acres of parkland, and it's all around us. They actually had a goal to make sure that within 1 mile of every single person in the city of Winter Park, there was a place for kids to play, and they have almost reached that goal. So the Parks and Recreation Department, first of all, it's known as one of the top 5 in the nation. And those are the kinds of things we're doing in our city. We're doing some fabulous things in our city. We have some folks here from the city. I thought they were here. Where did they move to? Oh, right over here. So I will tell you that they just put a book out. That book tells you, I've got it right here, it tells you so much about our Parks Department. So there's a lot of information that we need to get in your hands so you know just how very good our city is, or how well our city is doing and how great our parks are. Thanks.
Great, thank you. This is more of an administrative question.
Are we going to alternate?
We're gonna
I'll just
alternate.
stay here, okay.
Okay. That way I can keep track. That's great. Thank you. This is more of an administrative question in your role as a city commissioner. At times, there are controversial items that come before the city commission. In your role as commissioner, how would you work with the others on the board, including the mayor, to find common ground in working through the range of ideas? And also, how would you incorporate citizen comments and ideas as a specific issue is tackled?
That's a great question for me because I've been doing that for 3 years. And I will tell you that it's part of why I ran originally. I ran originally because I believed we could be more cohesive in this community, and we are. 95% of all of our votes are 5-0 votes. That's excellent. That's not the way it used to be. We had a lot of acrimony on our commission in the past, and we do not now. We like each other, we work together, and that's the beginning of it. We listen, and when you ask, how do you work together? Well, first of all, we're all very equal. We all get one vote, okay? And we listen to each other, and we listen to you. Whenever we get our packets, which we just received yesterday for next Monday, I go through my packet, I look at my questions, and I call and get my answers from our city manager. And then I'm prepared, or better prepared. I may have to go out and ask some of you questions about something on our agenda. And that's the way it works. That's what we do. But working together is very, very important in this community. That's one of the reasons I ran for city commission to begin with. You know, I've been in this place a long time. I didn't like the way we were looking sometimes to the outside world. The city of Winter Park is just a small area of 28,000 people inside an area of 2.2 million people. So I will tell you, it's important for us to be regional, but always safeguarding what we do right here in this town. So I like being a part of that big group. Thanks.
Great, thank you.
Can
Ms.
you
Marble.
repeat the question?
At times, there are controversial items that come before the city commission. In your role as commissioner, how would you work with the mayor and the other commissioners to find common ground in working through the range of ideas? And how would you incorporate thoughts and input from the citizens?
Okay, that's a great question. First of all, let me say, Commissioner Leary's here. The mayor is not here, the other two, but I get along very well with all of them. I like all of them. And I think that that is important. I think that listening to the citizens is important. And I have to disagree. I don't think everything has been so good down at City Hall. There has been a lot of acrimony because a lot of people feel very disenfranchised. And that's something we need to improve. We need to have more public workshops and include public participation. These are just things I think are important. And I would very much like to have more communication going out to the community about upcoming projects so that people don't get upset and feel distrustful about the city commission.
Okay, great, thank you. Kind of a follow-up question in terms of input. There are a couple of questions here about the potential future baseball stadium. And that selection process, I understand, will be 4 sites looked at initially. How do you think that process should go? And again, how would you incorporate citizen input and their ideas?
Okay, I've written a lot about this already, but you know, I feel like that this is being done behind closed doors and that it's already been decided. But I do not support a baseball team in Martin Luther King Park. It's our park. And I think, you know what, let me back that up. I support whatever you think. I think if we decide to put it in Martin Luther King, it should be a public referendum and the citizens, the residents should decide that. I would consider putting it in Rabotage. I think that's a much better area because minor league baseball is an economic catalyst for growth and business. So I think that's an excellent place, and I'd like to negotiate more with them. The other places were the Winter Park Votech. I'm not in favor of that area. I think that would be better as a retail area. And then the tree farm, obviously not the tree farm. But I do think This is an important issue, and it's $35 million that they estimate it's going to cost them. Right now, we have $4 million committed to it from outside parties. So I wish it had been decided before this election. They put it off until August, so hopefully, you know, hopefully the outcome will be what the residents want. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sprinkle.
People in this community have been talking about a baseball stadium for about a year and a half. And talking about that, we have just been at the table with other people, with the college, with the private people that own it. And what happened was we got a report that gave us some ROI, some investment opportunities that said this could be as much as $6 million to your city every single year. And as your representative, I cannot turn my back on that. That says to me the people in this community who are working would be able to put money in their pockets. And so, when it came to us, first of all, we've had some very specific ideas, and we have said it is not going to use city money. And you've got to hear that very, very loud and clear. It's been in the paper. We said it at our workshop. We are not using your money. We are not bonding your money. But if there are private people out there who want to put their money into a stadium in our community, we might be able to work with them. That's what we're saying. Now, why has it been put off? Because this is a big deal for people to work on. And there's a lot of people who like the idea and some who don't. I was not really wild about the idea, but I couldn't turn my back on something that could give our city that kind of revenue. Now, Martin Luther King, I was the only person at the table who said, let's take it off, because I was the chairperson of the Martin Luther King naming committee that named that park. I didn't want to name it one year and the next year come back and change it. So what I said is, can we take it off? And uniformly, I was told, and I appreciate this because you see, this is how commissioners work together.
Ms. Sprinkle, your time is
Oh,
up.
I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Okay.
That's okay.
Can I finish it the next time?
You can put that on the to-do list.
All right, I'm still up. Okay, all right.
Okay. Now, one of the first challenges as commissioner will be dealing with the city's budget for the next fiscal year. Do you anticipate any changes in priorities or city services?
That is a huge challenge. We're doing it right now, and that is the most important thing we do. The most important thing that I can tell you is we bring you a very sound fiscal budget. We bring you a very sound city. You know that we have grown our rainy day fund so that it was $16 million, or $6 million when we came, and it's $12 million now. So I can tell you we are working hard to make sure we are a solvent city. And we are, okay? Now, we're not going to raise your taxes, okay? But we have been able to increase some of what's happening in as much as $200 million has been added in the last 3 years to the tax rolls. And that's very important because that's what keeps your homeowners or your taxes down so that we don't have to increase them to keep your amenities the way they are. So that's very important.
Great, thank you, Ms. Womble.
Okay, could you read the question again?
Sure. One of the first challenges you will face as the commissioner will be working with the city's budget for the next fiscal year. Do you anticipate any changes in priorities or city services as you go through that budgeting process?
No, I think our budget is fine right now. I do think that we have degraded some of the city services, and I would like to see those implemented back into the budget. I know our taxes haven't gone up. Well, actually, mine have gone up somewhat, but I haven't checked to see if it's the city. But I do think it's very important, and I think that we need to be careful about stopping our city services, and this is something that I would look to in the budget. I think that's a very important thing. That's why we live here. It's our quality of life thing, and we need to continue to put more money into our infrastructure and not minor league baseball or any other other ideas like that.
Okay, great, thank you. And as a follow-up to that, we have a couple of questions here about your position on raising taxes. Would you find that the need to do that? What is your position?
Well, that's a no-brainer. No. Okay. I can't say anything else. I'll go ahead and talk for 3 minutes, but no.
Okay. Great, thank you. Ms. Sprinkle.
I'm also not going to raise taxes, but I'll also tell you that one of the things that we have to do in this city and in every city out there is to know that what happens when your taxes get raised is we had something else happen at the state level, which was a rollback. And when that rollback happened, we actually have less dollars to deal with in our city today than we had 3 years ago. Because of that, we had at one time in the city of Winter Park 575 employees. We have 500 now. Okay? So things are not the way they were at one time, and they may not be moving forward because we know that there's other things we can do. We have technology now. How many of you all right now are paying your bills online when it comes to your power? Well, we have quite a few. Those are things that are going to be very helpful as we move forward because we don't have to have a person who's in a seat who's going to take your money. So there's a lot we're doing, but that's just a little bit so you'll know how big that issue really is.
Thank you. Okay, next question.
I think I'm going to fall over pretty soon. Me too.
No, we don't want that to happen. And I asked that question about taxes because we had a couple of index cards. I wanted to make sure I clearly asked that question. So, next question. What would you like to, there are a number of recycling efforts underway in Winter Park. What would you like to see in terms of improving that program, particularly in our public parks?
Oh, great question. There are a number, but there can always be more. I'll just tell you that we just flipped the switch the other day on our first ever, the stuff in the sky. What was it called, Steve? The solar. We just flipped the switch and we did that. So we have a lot of unique activities going on in our community. I'm not sure we have some committees. The way we use our committees and our boards in this community is very, very helpful. And they bring us those ideas, and the Keep Winter Park Beautiful Committee, all of those folks are bringing us ideas of things we can do. Very seldom do we sit up on the dais and create the ordinances. We usually sit up on the dais and tell the boards, we would like you to help us with this. And then they go out and go back to you and bring us what we're asking for. Now, where does that come from? It comes from you. It comes from this question right here. So we'll go back and we'll say, we need to do more. Where can we do more? That's how I would handle that. I would go back and say, okay, board, can you help me with this? How can we get more?
Great, thank you. Ms. Womble.
Okay, the question is about recycling sustainability.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I've been talking about this for years with John Holland. The first thing I would do is go put recycle bins at our golf course. I walk my dogs around there all the time. The trash is filled with empty water, beer cans, and beer cans. We did have a wonderful sustainability manager. He's soon to go, or he's already left. But he had the most fabulous ideas, and this is the thing that I get the most charge from is recycling and environmental issues. That's very important and near and dear to my heart. I think we could do better. I think we need to communicate with the community better and explain what they do with all of our recycles and what it brings back to us. The other thing I'll tell you is we pay a fortune to the waste management company for picking up our recycles, and guess what? It doesn't cost a single penny to go drop it off at the recycle in Orange County. So I'd like to, talking about budgets, I would like to try to renegotiate that contract with the waste management company and greatly reduce us paying for trash that actually we don't get charged for at Orange County. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I already answered that one.
Okay. Okay, another question that we have is...
Lizzie, you're first.
Yes.
Don't try
You
that
can
again.
answer for answer for both. Okay.
You can have all of them.
Okay.
I'll answer for Sarah too.
Okay.